The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Lineate is getting active after establishing its regional center of operations in Europe in Georgia. This is an international IT company whose main office is located in New York and also has offices in Georgia, Poland, and Armenia. The company creates customized computer programs that help them solve the most difficult business tasks, especially problems caused by complex data. The company has more than 15 years of experience in this field. In 2022, Lineate established the Lineate Georgia regional office, which currently employs about 70 people. This week, the first memorandum of cooperation was signed between the Innovation and Technology Agency of Georgia and Lineate Georgia LLC, which involves the exchange of information about the participants of the training program of 3,000 IT specialists within the framework of the campaign Share Success for the purpose of their further employment. Lineate CEO Ben Engber visited BMG Studio for a sit-down interview, which turned into a very dynamic business talk. So, welcome to the Checkpoints, and thank you for taking time and taking our questions. We have photos here. What was this meeting about? I know that it was held today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great to be here, and we feel absolutely welcomed by the Georgian people and the Georgian government, and that's exactly what's going on here. This morning, I had the privilege of signing a memorandum of understanding with GITA, the State Innovation Agency, which, as you probably know, has been working hard to educate a large number of Georgian IT specialists in advanced skills. And of course, at Lineate, we're a software development consulting company. We're looking for the top talent, and what we're doing is signing a partnership to both get access to this talent, and also we have a bunch of educational initiatives ourselves and contribute to the talent pool within Georgia.
Yes, you mentioned Lineate very briefly. Could you please tell us a little bit more about the company itself, a short business profile for our viewers and followers?
Of course. Lineate is a software development consulting company specializing in solving difficult data challenges. That's things like large-scale transaction processing, data visualization, real-time decision-making, and so on. We've been in business about 20 years. Just this year, we've expanded into 3 new countries. That's Poland, Armenia, and Georgia. We are making Georgia our tech hub, the development center for our European operations, and we just started here this spring and are very excited to expand.
Yeah, so why Georgia? Why did you choose Georgia?
Well, we did a fair amount of due diligence before making any decisions. What attracted us to Georgia was a few things. One, it has a history of close relations with the US and a reputation for tolerance. There's also a great deal of governmental support for the IT industry. So, as we just mentioned, some of the agencies like GITA are doing an extensive education programs in IT. There's also great tax incentives for international IT companies to move here, as well as good flexibility in work rules to get the needed people in to help establish the company and grow it, as well as really sort of a burgeoning IT scene. So there's a great deal of talent, but it's relatively new, which for us is a major advantage because we're working very hard to build our own culture. The Lineate development culture, we call it freedom to develop, is very central to how we do our work and how we build out the organization. So having a little bit of a blank slate is a real advantage to us.
Mm-hmm. Freedom to develop. Sounds real good. I also love the opening sentence on your website. It says, if your software goals aren't ambitious, don't bother scrolling. So what are some of the ambitious goals that you have in terms of Georgia and region and those countries as well, Armenia and Poland that you mentioned?
Well, so what we want to emphasize, there's a ton of companies out there that offer software engineers for hire. And that's fine. That's a needed service. At Lineate, we've always focused on challenging the most difficult, ambitious problems, and that requires more than just hiring great people. It really involves creating a culture that attracts great people, that helps them collaborate with each other, that makes them want to stay, and that produces great results. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of time. So when we talk about the ambitious goals for Georgia, as I said, we're not just opening another random office here. We really are viewing Georgia as the center of our European operations, which means it needs to be our cultural center as well. So that involves taking the culture which we've developed over 20 years and transplanting it to make it feel like honestly like a Silicon Valley kind of culture in Georgia. So we have 65 people that we've hired already in the area. Our goal is to get to 100 by the end of the year, and then 100 more next year. So that is one of our big ambitious goals. We're also opening
and that is totally local market. I mean, you mean Georgians, right? Do you mean professional students, both of them? What is your strategy in that direction?
I will say, in short, both of them. We need that professional core because we are offering high-end services to the international market. Our customers are almost exclusively in the US and Western Europe, and we're focusing on the high end of that market. So we need to go with very high caliber kind of people. At the same time, the way we've historically built this high caliber is certainly we hire great people, but we also develop our own talent. And so many of the top people in the company are people who joined us in a relatively junior role, and over the years grew to this level where they become the next generation of leaders. And that's exactly why we're building our education programs here as well. We have a program called the Lineate Dev School, and that builds upon the skills that someone might learn in university and provides really what modern business-focused software development practices are about. And so, we have boot camps, we've got short-term programs, and then we have long-term programs where we're working with, local universities, such as Kutaisi International University, Caucasus University, talking to San Diego State and Tbilisi State universities, as well as the Ministry of Education, Enterprise Georgia, and trying to build out these programs. Those are still in their infancy, but if anyone's interested, we have a page up on lineate.ge where you can sign up for more information, and we'll get back to you as those programs take shape.
Very interesting. You mentioned great people several times. Are there enough great people on the market?
The truth is there aren't enough great engineers anywhere in the world. This has always been a challenge. It's been a challenge since we started, and especially since COVID, where everybody started moving, where remote work became not an obstacle for more and more companies. The competition for top talent is intense everywhere in the world, including Georgia. But that's where our culture comes in. So our culture is it produces great results, but B, it's about creating an environment where the best people want to work. And I think the results speak for ourselves. The loyalty in our company has always been exceptionally good. And back to your first question, what are the ambitious goals? One of the ambitious goals is to convince everyone in Georgia that Lineate is the best place to work for a top-tier engineer.
Listening to you, I'm wondering if you have any direct competitors on the market. How do you view competition in Georgia?
So, software development consulting is a very crowded space. There are thousands of companies across the world, often promising, relatively similar services. And so all of them at some level are direct competitors. I didn't want to come in here to talk about all our competitors. There are certainly companies in Georgia that are competitive with us. Oftentimes, they focus on different niches. And just yesterday I was talking with one, and we were looking for collaborative opportunities as well, because everybody is faced with this same shortage of talent. The main difference I would postulate is the fact of our focus on these very difficult data programs, very difficult data problems, I should say. We have the Lineate freedom to develop culture here, which involves taking people, providing them with these difficult problems, giving them close mentorship, and then the variety of events and processes and just everything around that to create the vibe of wanting to work there. And we really feel that this culture is a differentiator.
Mm-hmm. So that it is more clear for our viewers and followers, what would qualify under very difficult data problem?
Well, for example, I'll give you a few examples. One of the examples is we do a lot of work in the ad tech industry. And the ad tech industry involves essentially every website in the world making tons of auction requests of what ads are going to be displayed at what point in time on which site. And this is literally hundreds of thousands or millions of requests coming in every second. And the technology to be able to conduct an auction at that scale, to handle 1 million requests a second, determine which ones are worth bidding on, and determining the correct price at which to bid is a very difficult thing to do in
It
software.
sounds like that.
And not many people can do that. And so we have, the expertise in having built these before, and we have the institutional knowledge around it. Another kind of project we've done is for one of our clients, NYU Langone Medical Center. They have a large amount of health data. I'm not talking about personal health data here, but doctors, their research areas, and so forth, and trying to unify all this data across a large, they have a ton of different systems. They have a lot of data of different kinds. How do you expose this data so people can find what they need? How do you put natural language search on top of that to enable it more intuitively to be found, and so forth? And I'll throw one last one out. We do some work in fintech. On Deck Capital was one of our, they're now called Lineate, was one of our major clients. And again, in their case, they're taking the data available to them, the variety of data, and making a real-time decision on whether to extend loans to small businesses. These kinds of problems.
Yeah, you mentioned this briefly, but maybe you could tell us more in detail. Who do you see as the main stakeholders and also as main partners in this process in establishing American business in Georgia, doing business from Georgia, which is very important for this country?
So I mentioned it a little bit. We actually opened with it.
Yes.
So I will say I was very surprised, having opened the company in a number of countries already, how easy it was to open in Georgia. So the government really did a nice job at smoothing this over. In terms of the partners we have so far, we mentioned GITA, we have the Ministry of Education, we have Enterprise Georgia. There's some local organization called the Georgian American Business Council, that's in the U.S., the Chamber of Commerce, and then we've been talking to the universities as well.
So what are some nearest plans, and I will let you off with this.
Well, our primary goal right now is to get to that 100 mark as quickly as we can. We are hiring as fast as we can. The second goal, of course, is get those education programs off the ground.
Thank you so much and wish you success.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.